was shopping around and I liked my Naga, but like I wanted something different and new. The main thing that got me was the gyroscope, where I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, so that is something I've never seen in a mouse before,
Okay.
right? And I've loved it from the start.
Yeah.
That's I found it basically by looking for something different, and I was very happy with what I got. I
Okay.
have not had any serious issues so far.
So good. Hey Ben, thanks heaps for your time. Thank you for jumping on the call with us today and accepting to come on.
Of
This is
course.
a Feedback Friday call and video that we like to do. We like to have one going once a week onto our YouTube channel, and it's also a great opportunity for me as the marketing manager, Corey as well, the CEO, who's actually on another Feedback Friday call. We did a little email outreach, and we weren't expecting the huge amount of people to reply to the email that we sent out.
So
Probably,
I was starstruck. I was like, wait, you guys are like, because I know you're a small. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how like ubiquitous your guys' company
yeah,
is, but like
yeah,
I saw your mouse that I got through an ad
yeah,
on I think it was one of the tech reviewers,
yeah,
and I'm like, wow, like I this is something I've never heard of
yeah,
before. Where it's like
yeah.
they're actually reaching out and having like the user base
Love it.
talk about the mouse, and
Yeah.
I'm like, that's super cool. Heck yes, 100% I'll be on for this.
Yeah, awesome. Love it. Love it. Well, hey, thanks heaps for jumping on. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Of course.
and love that we're able to. Love that I was able to get you in to have a call today, and it'll be posted up live at some point onto YouTube. But we're doing these calls just to kind of pretty much open up the floor for you as the customer, you as the user, of course, to share your stories, to share which you kind of already have touched on, but we'll touch on it more. Where you saw
Sure.
it for the first time, how you heard about it, what you love about it, what you don't particularly like about it. If there's anything that you change, if you've got any questions for me and the SwiftPoint team as well. But mostly for us just to show, which you've already touched on as well, just to show that we are a company that do listen. We are a company that
Yeah.
genuinely want to hear and genuinely want to get involved with our user base, because at the end of the day, if we don't have customers, we don't have a business.
That's pretty straightforward. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, is essentially the way we do it. So, start us
Of
off with
course.
Ben, which you already have, but give us a little bit more in depth. Start us off with how you came to hear about the SwiftPoint Z2, how you saw it, and yeah, get into it.
Okay. No, for sure. So I have used plethora. So a lot of people are really fan loyal, and
Mm,
they'll do like, oh yeah, I always buy Steel Series or I always buy
yeah,
whatever. I'm a bit of an adventurous sort.
okay,
I like to look for things that are like innovative. I like innovation. I work in the robotics field, so
wow, okay,
I'm a maintenance technician. I do a lot of work with Fanuc Robotics and things like that. But I'm a thinker. I like doing that sort of
yeah,
thing. So I had a Razer Naga Trinity for the longest time,
okay,
uh, mainly because of the fact that one, I need a lot of buttons.
yeah,
I'm not a person who plays one type of game,
yeah,
so I think that was the big thing that actually kind of struck me about your guys' company was I noticed that you a lot of your previous releases prior to the Z1 Z2
mm,
was a lot of engineering mice, right?
yes, yeah, true,
Yes,
yeah.
for sure, and that was the thing. I'm like, oh, okay, this is an interesting take where it is guys who design
Yeah,
for the engineering sort,
yeah,
trying out for something that I at least felt was more targeted towards a gaming sort of thing. I'm like,
yeah,
oh heck yes, 100% I'm on for this.
awesome.
So I was shopping around and I liked my Naga, but like I wanted something different and new.
Mm,
So
mm,
I literally ended up just Googling and going through a bunch of tech reviewers and stuff, and just like I wanted something that had the amount of buttons I use for a lot of the different games I play,
mm-hmm,
and something that was really different.
yeah,
And I think that's really what bit me is like I saw that I'm like, oh, that's cool. The main thing that got me was the gyroscope,
yeah,
where I was
okay,
like, oh, okay, so that is something I've never seen in a mouse before,
okay,
right? I mean, I think it was the Logitech G, I forget which one it was, where it had the modifiable weights in the bottom,
oh yeah,
where like you could change the
the
weight. Yeah,
G502 Pro, was
yeah.
it? I
Yep,
think,
that's
yeah,
that's the one.
yeah,
Back, but it was before. I think it was before it was the Pro,
okay,
because that was back in like 2000 and like I think that was like 2012.
yeah,
Like it was a heaps long time ago.
okay,
So I I've always been into that kind of thing.
hmm,
So I saw them like, okay, I gotta have it. So I tossed it on because it was in between your guys' launches,
yeah,
and I ended up like I bought it and I'm like, okay, I'll mainstay this mouse however long that the one I was using, and like when it comes in, it comes in. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot about it, and then I get the email. I right. I'm like, I get the email. It's like a birthday present because I already paid for it and everything. It's like, oh hey, by the way, your mouse is shipping. I'm like, oh hell yeah, dope, perfect.
That's awesome.
So
I love
that
it.
it was great. It was great. So it ended up showing up, and I've loved it from the start.
Yeah.
That's I found it basically by looking for something different, and I was very happy with what I got. I
Okay.
have not had any serious issues so far.
So good. That's awesome. That's awesome.
For
And so,
sure.
can you, thinking back to that time when you were looking, was there one particular feature that really caught your eye? Like you mentioned the gyroscope there. So was it like the tilt to lean features, or was there something else that really caught your eye?
So the big thing is the positional stuff. Like so, basically, if you tilt the mouse to the right, you get a count, you get a do DPI. That's phenomenal. That's the thing that like I start up a new game and I'm like, oh, the sensitivity is completely messed. I don't like it. So that's actually really nice. The lean feature. So that's I play Escape from Tarkov,
Oh
but
yeah,
I also play a lot of extraction shooters. Okay, so that's one of those things where having lean on mouse is
yeah, yeah,
super mint, super
yeah,
fantastic, and it was a lot of the culmination of things of like, okay, I can conceivably see myself using the extra features because like, yeah, I mean the RGB is cool, but like every mouse on the market has that, but things that genuinely give you a different why would I buy like at this point? That's the one thing I've been having an issue with
yeah.
when I was shopping is like, why would I buy like, I mean, you're looking at like 20, 30, 40,000 DPI, and like that's the marketing difference between the stuff. Like
It's just
there's no
crazy.
difference.
It's crazy.
Right. Right. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I think I genuinely slide between like 800 and 1200.
Same,
And I'm like, why
same.
would I need like a polling rate of like 80,000? And like, okay, cool. If I need my mouse to time travel, on it. Perfect. But like, I don't need that. So I wanted to look for things that would actually like differentiate it from the rest of the market. And like,
Yeah,
it's cool.
yeah.
It's a conversation piece on top of being useful.
Hmm.
So that's really what got me was the gyroscope, the tilt to lean, because I play a lot of extraction shooters and shooters as
Awesome.
well,
Yeah.
but and then also the amount of buttons, the actual. So I guess I'll for model
Please do.
the
Yeah.
the push and pull on the push and pull
Yeah.
on the actual triggers up here, I
Yeah.
guess I think is what they're called in the
Yeah.
program, is also just another thing. So I also play Path of Exile,
Oh, okay.
so it
Yeah,
was
cool.
really hard to find a mouse that worked well for first person shooters like Tarkov
Yeah.
and Arena Breakout Infinite, stuff like that, but
Yeah,
also like
nice.
for ARPGs because you need a lot of mapping, right?
Of
Because
course.
I'm the kind of person where I will do I'm a one-handed player. I want all my stuff on my mouse if I'm playing an ARPG,
Yeah.
and it kind of hits all those points.
Yeah.
It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I
Yeah,
hope that
that's
was
awesome.
sufficient.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you're essentially like a gaming power user, right? Because you're going
Yes.
across pretty much all of the genres, and
Yep.
you've essentially found the one mouse that's able to do it all, right?
That's exactly it, and I think that's really what grabbed me.
Yeah.
Is like,
Okay.
oh, so this I could find a use case for every feature, and
Yeah.
that's what I think really helped me out with it.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
for sure.
And so with the Z2 across all of the games and all of the programs and stuff that you've been able to use it for, is there any features that you haven't been able to use, or is there any features that haven't really made sense, or have you not been able to kind of see how they would work? So for example, maybe like a deep click, something like,
Yeah.
or yep.
Deep Click is the only one that I feel like I have not found a use for because of not actively trying, right?
Right, yeah, yeah.
I think that's the big thing where like having that tactile deep click is a fantastic feature, and when I find a use case for it, it'll probably be really useful. But I mean, I haven't ran across it yet,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because there's a certain level at one point where I'm doing enough with my right hand and retraining enough of the like mapping
Yeah.
where it's like trying to modify too many behaviors makes it so I actually just start having a really rough time.
Yeah.
But I haven't found a real good use for the deep click yet.
Mm.
Um, outside of that, I mean, I guess as deep click, and actually I'm gonna pull up
Please.
because I think I thought about this. I thought about this
Awesome.
before our call,
Yeah, cool.
and I was like, oh yeah. So I'm gonna open up expert mode, fantastic, which also is phenomenal that you guys have an expert mode in
Nice.
the programming, because that again, another complaint that I've dealt with before
Yeah.
is the limitations of the software paired with the peripheral, right?
Yes.
I've had and this is a really just handing the toolbox
Mm.
to the person,
Hmm.
because like I mean there's almost an overwhelming amount
Yeah.
of customization that comes through expert mode, which given the name makes sense.
Yeah.
But let me go over here real quick. Sorry, get a little bit
That's okay.
wordy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, it'd be deep click, and then also for the animated cube,
Yeah.
it'd be the actual side display.
Yeah.
Outside like that, I think it's the only other feature I really haven't used. I'm like, I'm not gonna toss like an emblem on there or anything. I just it's the stock animated cube, still is,
Cool.
and it works great. But like
Nice.
I would say those are the only two features I haven't used.
Okay. And I suppose, well, the OLED screen, we totally understand the OLED screen isn't for everybody. And I suppose
Mhm.
the main things that it's there for is like your quick kind of glances, of course, are like your DPI changes and then like a few other things in that you would kind of do on there as well. But yeah, for the most part, you are going to have the cube up there. You're going to have a little custom message or something, or you're just going to have the name of your
Right.
profile, so that then
Yeah.
as you're kind of loading into a game or something, you can then of course be
Mhm.
straight there to know, boom, I'm straight into it, and that's what the OLED screen's there for. So yeah, like I totally get
Sure.
it, and yeah, as you say, deep click is one of those features where if it works for you and it works for your gameplay and it works for your flow, then it completely makes
Mhm.
sense. But if you can't seem to make it make sense, then there's no point of trying to make it make sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really what it is, and like I think it is a fantastic having options. I mean, I think it's always better to have the option but
Yeah,
not have it be used
yeah,
than to just remove the option entirely, because there's going to be somebody out there where that's going to really resonate with,
yeah,
and I'm sure somebody loves it. It's just not with my usage. Doesn't
yeah.
make it doesn't work out.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. And so, is there anything that surprised you about the Z2? Like, you've spoken quite a lot, of course, about a lot of the features at the
Mhm.
moment. So, and probably the whole of the mouse maybe surprised you because it's the first time that you've seen it, right? But was there
Right.
anything like really specific that like surprised you? Maybe more so from what you've already seen on like an ad or like a YouTube video. Was there something that when you then put your hand on it, you plugged it in, you just went, "Wow! Like this is next level."
So it was actually the amount of things that the mouse came with actually.
Okay.
So the
Yeah.
customization.
Yeah.
I did not expect to get the swappable buttons.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I didn't even think that was a part of it. Like that I didn't even know. I literally saw the gyroscope
Yeah.
and the OLED screen and all that stuff, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, cool, that's all perfect. I had no idea.
Mm.
And then also I was really happy with the hand feel.
Okay.
I am a claw grip type person,
Cool.
and it worked out really great. But I have like a weird hybrid situation where I typically buy claw,
Okay.
and this works perfect for me.
Okay.
Those are the two big things with hand feel and the amount of just customizability from on the physical side of things
Yeah. Okay.
between the tilt plates and the actual buttons. I
Yeah.
would say is the big thing that surprised me.
Touching on the claw grip side of it, then. So
Mhm.
have you actually? So then, have you swapped out the long fingertip caps, which I've got on mine? Have you swapped out the long
Mhm.
fingertip caps for the short ones?
No, not yet.
Okay. Cool.
So I have
Oh,
I
awesome. Okay.
this is what I'm currently rocking. Okay,
Yeah.
good. This is what I'm rocking right now,
Nice.
and it works out pretty well at
Cool.
this point.
Yeah.
So I haven't had to, but I think that was more an adaptation on my side of things,
Yeah. Okay.
where I was like, and it's worked out pretty well. But I haven't had too many issues, which is what I was worried about
Mm.
with accidentally hitting them,
Okay.
accidentally hitting the paddles.
Yeah.
I haven't had any issues with that. So
Okay.
I think I haven't swapped them just because I have I have paws, like I have very big hands. So like that is a common issue that I run into where like the thing I'm trying to use, I actually sold my Nintendo Switch
Wow.
because it triggered my carpal tunnel to use it,
Oh, wow.
right?
Okay.
Because my hands are big, right? So
Yeah.
actually,
Okay.
then I got a Steam Deck, and then and that was
So
and
you've gone
that
from
solved it. I
something
just
this thin to something this thick.
right, and it fits so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and that was a big thing for me,
yeah.
which I guess that could be a tagline for this. Is like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, it works for dudes with huge hands. Yeah,
It could be
because
well.
that's a common issue I have with mice.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And
Hmm?
it's funny you say that, right? I should say that's actually one of the major selling points for us is the fact that it's a big mouse, that it's a chunky
Yeah.
mouse, and people
Mhm.
with larger size hands. I've got kind of decent size hands, I think, but it's
Yeah.
just like yeah,
Yeah.
people love that. It can comfortably fit into their hand. It sits really nicely in the palm, and there's like the
Yep.
physical customization options of swapping out the buttons and swapping out the trigger
Yep.
caps and stuff as well. It's just a
Hmm.
huge a huge selling point to many people. So, like, I totally get
For
it.
sure.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool to hear that the surprising factor was the accessories, and it's awesome that you found them too, because you may have seen on your box, I'm not sure which batch you brought from, but you may have seen on your box it actually said that there's a accessories pack inside. Should have been some text on the box or something. The
Yeah.
reason why
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
that the reason why we did that is because so many people were receiving the Z2 within the first and the second batch, taking it out of the box and throwing the box away. Yeah,
Oh, and just throwing away all the extra. Oh,
throwing
that is
away all of
unfortunate.
the extra button caps, the lockout feet, the joystick extender, and then we
Well,
were getting these support tickets coming through. People being like, "Man, it just
right.
really doesn't fit my hand, and the buttons don't feel right." And I'm like, have you thrown away the accessories pack? Because if so, there's extra buttons and stuff in there. But yeah,
That I can only imagine the
yeah,
frustration. But yeah, no, I didn't have it. I'm also the kind of person though who is always like look through your whole box. I mean, I'm 33 as of Monday actually. I
oh,
just turned
nice,
33 on Monday.
happy
Yeah.
birthday.
So, thank you. And I always when I was driving home from like, your parents take you to the store, you buy a game.
Yeah,
I always went through the whole packaging. Like that's part of the experience,
cool.
right? So I always look for every like it's like little hidden treasures inside the
Yeah,
box. So I don't really run into that too often.
yeah,
But I can definitely see how if you weren't expecting that, because I mean I wasn't.
yeah.
I'm totally peaceful. And it's also super cool that you guys, I mean, I'm assuming through your warranty team or whatever, you guys just like, oh yeah, sorry that happens. And you just probably send them out the stuff, and that was
That's it.
great.
Yeah, like it sounds like you've really kind of understood the Z2 and like understood what it can do for you and how it can really work for you. So with that in mind as well, are you using it for anything other than gaming? Is it kind of like
Uh,
your daily driver at the moment? Are you using it for productivity? Are you using it for work?
Yep. So I actually have, speaking of my job,
Cool.
I have a copy of SolidWorks and RoboGuide
Oh, awesome.
on my computer as well, and I use it fairly lightly again because I work more on the maintenance and upkeep side of things.
Yeah.
But I mean, always never stop learning. Big
Yeah.
policy for me.
Cool.
So obviously playing with this stuff, and it's also just cool and fun.
Yeah.
So it works great for that.
Awesome.
There are a lot of built-in hotkeys and things that come
Yeah.
in very handy in SolidWorks
Yeah.
because of that's one of the reasons I want to bring up your guys' background with making
Mm.
more engineering side mice.
Yeah.
A lot of those features are a good carryover
Mm.
because every engineer I've met plays some sort of games. And like
Yeah.
it's true, it's a true marry that makes sense,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. It's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
that's perfect.
One of the questions that I have for you is was
Mhm.
through the research you did and having a look at the YouTube videos and the reviews and things like that, were there any
Mhm.
claims that we made across our content that made you feel a little bit skeptical about buying it? And if so, what were they and have they been answered? Like the reason why I asked that question is because there's a lot of people who will look at the tilt to lean features and they'll be like, nah,
Yes.
there's no way that's going to work. But it's like, it actually does work.
I have a perfect thing for this
Yeah,
where so it was literally the tilt to lean feature you're
yeah.
talking about.
I got that.
I was one of those you're talking about.
Okay.
And I'm like, there's no way it's like so it feels gimmicky,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of
It's
course
one
it
of
does.
those things where it's like, right, because I mean, there's no way somebody thought of that.
Mm,
And then I went into the reason I bring this up is the expert mode,
yeah.
and you have the like half degree
Hmm.
settings you can modify
Yeah.
to like a borderline psychotic degree where I'm like, oh, is there really somebody who knows the difference of their hand
Yeah.
between like 15 and 15.5,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Yeah.
can't even right, that's crazy. And like that was the thing where I'm like, there's no way it's that. Like if it's a cool gimmick, it's like a preset amount, perfect.
Yeah.
And it was overwhelming in a good way
Okay.
of like having that level of control, and like it answered itself where it's
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
okay, that is actually something they took into consideration, is that
Yeah.
like not everybody's going to consider the same thing, because I had that issue where I was leaning or whatever,
Mm,
and I was as tilting the mouse, and I'm like, oh man, it's activating too soon because I again, big hands,
yeah.
it's a heavier lean. So I'm like, oh man, can I change that? And I went to the SwiftPoint software,
Yeah.
to the control panel, and I'm like, oh, you can change that. And that is the one thing that kind of really kind of sunk me in. I'm like, oh, this is something really unique and special.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And so then to kind of talk about like the customer journey, just been more my sorry, my marketing manager head's kind of turned on now, but to kind of think about that and to talk about your journey more. So you went through like a YouTube video, you read a
Mhm.
couple of reviews, maybe came to social media, and so was there
Mhm.
any more? Was there any kind of hesitancy behind all of that side as well? Was there anything else that you were thinking about? And then when you landed on the product page, did it kind of answer all of your questions, or were you still left with some of the questions?
So I think all the questions I had were pretty well answered either through the tech. I can't even remember which tech YouTuber I actually
Yeah,
watched. It was a YouTuber of some sort.
yeah,
And but the product page did a very good job of
cool.
answering the things that I was exactly looking for.
Yeah,
But I think I guess is this the same kind of line where we're like, okay, was there anything that kind of caused me to take a step and like, do I actually want this? Like, kind of
mm,
stop me from wanting it.
yeah,
And I would say the only thing I was a little bit freaked out by the price point,
yeah. Fair enough.
but fair enough, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
again, your competition, like I think there's the PCMR mice and stuff. You
Yeah.
can get like actually I have one.
No, nice,
Like it's a solid, just hollow
yeah,
body mouse.
nice.
It's the 3D printed design. It's got a dusty. Pardon me. I have a husky, so
Oh,
he kind
nice.
of leaves his leavings everywhere, just fur, everything covered in fur.
Yeah.
Looks like it snowed. But and when you have that price point and that, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that if I'm tossing into this,
Mm,
I need to get at what I'm buying,
okay.
what I'm paying for,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I honestly can say that I haven't had, at least personally, I'm very happy. Like
cool.
I don't think it was a waste of money because everybody has that thing where like, oh, I bought this really expensive thing. I'm an Android user. Buying an iPhone feels like one of those things you're paying for a brand versus paying for actual features,
Yeah,
right?
fair enough. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Which and it's different for everybody, no shame.
Yeah,
Because again, it's a whole ecosystem thing. I don't shame Apple users.
yeah,
I am one of those people that it is very great for what they do.
yeah,
But I wanted to make sure I was going to get out what I paid for it. And
yeah.
it was a bit of a risk because
Okay,
again, it's one of those companies like I hadn't heard of it before,
of course.
and I was very inquisitive. But I can say that it paid dividends. I was
Yeah,
very happy with what I got, and
awesome.
I haven't had any issues.
And that's super nice to hear because yeah, that's also something else that like we hear all the time, and I hear as the marketing manager, and I see on the comments across Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and stuff. It's just like, well, why would I
Mhm.
buy your mouse from an unknown brand over like a G502, the Razer
Right.
Basilisk, the Steel Series, Azerox, and all this? I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. That's kind of up to you. I'm like, that is entirely up to you. What do you want to spend your money on? Do you want to spend it on the Z2 or do you want to spend it on a G502? I'm like, hey, if you want to spend it on the Z2, awesome. I'd love to have you. Come and join the community, get involved, but it's entirely
Right.
up to yourself. So yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, that's super cool to hear because it really cements everything that we're trying to do, right? And cements the reasons
Right.
why we're doing these kind of calls and stuff as well. Because it's like we
Mhm.
do make some edgy claims, we make some big claims because we can and we've got the platform to do it. But it's like now,
Right.
having conversations with people like yourself, we can of course back those up with. So, but
Of course.
but yeah, to kind of keep it real as well, it's just like, is there any improvements that you would love to see for the SwiftPoint Z range as a whole? We are working on the next version currently.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so let me know if you've got any feedback for us, any
So
things that you'd love to see, anything that you do differently.
so most of my complaints, I would say, anywhere come in software side,
Okay,
right?
cool. Yep.
So my big thing is I have had issues
Hmm.
with the automatic profile switching.
Yeah, okay.
I I'm assuming the nod
Yeah.
tells me, yeah, you're not the only one trying
You're
to
not
figure
the
it out.
only
And
one.
when
You're not the only one.
it's a really hard architecture
Mm.
to mess with because the EXEs. So I've dealt with it before,
Yeah.
and the same kind of issues. So that's the one thing I want to point out is
Okay.
like, it's not like you guys are having problems that are unique to you. It is a problem that happens in every software I've used, where depending on, so if it has an independent launcher
Mm.
versus a just a random exe from Steam,
Yeah.
there will be an issue of you can flag multiple exes for it to recognize, but it just doesn't seem to want to pick it up.
Okay.
So I end up just changing my default profile, and that's an issue I've run into.
Yeah, okay.
But
Okay.
that's like the only one. So like
Really?
that's realistically. I mean, if you're looking for a lot of criticism, I'm not also hard. I'm not super hard to please. I'm not like super picky, but
You're right.
I have been absolutely thrilled things. But that would be the one thing I've noticed has been a thing that's been reoccurring.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, well, if through all of the features that the Z2 has and everything it can do, if that's the only thing that's a
Right.
problem, then that's also. But I completely appreciate that it is a problem because yeah, as you saw by the nod, there is a lot of people that that do have the same problem, and so for them it's a
Mhm.
huge deal breaker because it's like switching between they might have 3 or 4 different screens,
Mhm.
or they might be going back and forth to Discord to like a
Yep.
Twitch chat or a YouTube chat
That's
or a game or something rather like that.
Mhm.
The APIs and how things talk to each other, especially if they're the one problem we seem to see quite a lot is people that have like a wired keyboard or even not a wireless as well. But if your keyboard is also able to store profiles through like a QMK, that seems to
Yep.
be a bit of a problem that throws it off because of the fact the Z2 can also be recognized as a keyboard, as a joystick at the same time. So then it's kind
Yep.
of interacting in the back end somewhere with those. So it throws it all out, which is a bit of a unfortunate problem, but we think we've seen a bit of a workaround or something we can do to hopefully try and kind of level that one out because it is a bit of a problem
Right.
for many people. Don't mind to kind of round us out. It'll be awesome if you can
Of
hold up
course.
the mouse as well. In your own
Sure.
words, give us your best sales pitch for the Z2 to
Oh,
somebody who is either on the
of
fence like yourself, has maybe gone through a bit of a similar user journey like yourself at the same time as well. Give us your
course.
best sales pitch, man.
Oh, okay, for sure. The SwiftPoint Z2 is the perfect mouse for somebody who doesn't know what they want. It has a little bit of everything, and it is able to do everything.
Yeah.